Go outside tonight. Look up and ask yourself the one question no one can answer. Just how far can we actually go before everything dies? How long will it take? What kind of insane technology will we have to build? And what out there is going to try and stop us? This video is going to answer every single one of those questions. All of them. The full timeline of where intelligent life ends up. We're climbing all 7 levels of the Kardashev Scale. From controlling weather on one little planet to draining entire galaxies dry. We're going to talk about the actual timelines, the godlike machines, and the extinction events sitting out there in the dark, waiting. But I need to warn you about something before we start. The higher we climb this ladder, the more disturbing the truth gets. Because by the time we reach the very top, level 7, you're going to have a very uncomfortable realization about your own life. We might not be at the start of this journey at all. It's entirely possible that biological humans went extinct billions of years ago. What if you and I are just a replay, a simulation running on someone else's hard drive long after the real game already ended? Let's find out. Level 1. The Planetary Masters. Right now, we're barely a 0.73 on the scale. We're still pulling dead plants out of the ground and setting them on fire for energy. But give us another 1 to 200 years, and we'll hit Type 1. That means total control over every drop of energy this planet produces. Fossil fuels will be ancient history. We'll have fusion reactors, basically tiny artificial suns running in every major city on the planet. And with that much power, we won't just check the weather app, we'll rewrite the forecast. Satellites will shut down Category 5 hurricanes before they even get started. Earthquakes, volcanoes, will manage the planet's own internal pressure, venting energy from the crust whenever we need to. No more natural disasters. And forget the rockets. We'll build space elevators. Ride a cable straight into orbit for about the price of a plane ticket. Sounds like paradise, right? But there's a massive problem standing between us and that future. Something called the Great Filter. Here's the thing. To become Type 1, a species has to get its act together. If we unlock godlike energy before we stop pointing weapons at each other, we'll just blow ourselves up. Nuclear war, climate collapse, artificial intelligence that decides we're the problem. This is the hardest test in the universe, and most civilizations probably don't make it past this point. But let's say we do. Let's say we survive. Earth becomes everything we dreamed it could be. Eventually, though, one planet's energy just isn't enough, and that's when we look up. Level 2, the Stellar Engineers. Somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years from now, Earth alone won't cut it anymore. To keep going, we need to capture every single watt of energy our sun puts out. And to do that, we'll build the biggest thing ever constructed, a Dyson Swarm. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Where do you get enough material to wrap a structure around a star? You take apart a planet. Mercury gets dismantled piece by piece. Millions of self-copying drones will chew through asteroids and dead moons, turning raw rock into trillions of orbiting solar mirrors. It'll spread like a mechanical infection across the solar system. Once it's done, we'll have billions of times more energy than a Type 1 civilization. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, the death of a planet, none of it matters anymore. But what if the neighborhood gets dangerous? What if a star next door goes supernova and sends a wall of radiation screaming straight at us? A Type 2 civilization doesn't sit around and accept that. They build something called a Shkadov thruster, a stellar engine that moves the entire solar system. You reflect the sun's radiation in one direction, and the whole solar system starts drifting the other way. Our star becomes the engine of the biggest spaceship you could ever imagine. At this point, we don't really look like us anymore. We're living inside rotating megastructures, genetically tweaking our bodies just to survive in zero gravity. Biology is already slipping away, so we've conquered our star. Great. But to truly guarantee our species never dies, we need to spread across the entire galaxy. And that brings up a horrifying problem. Space is just too big, and human bodies are just too fragile. If we want to conquer a galaxy, we have to give up the one thing that makes us human, our biology. Level 3. The Galactic Empire. Getting here takes somewhere between 1 and 10 million years, and there's no version of this where flesh and bone survive the trip. The Milky Way is 100,000 light years across. You can't run a civilization when a single message takes 100,000 years to arrive. So the answer is brutal but simple. Erase the biology. Upload your mind into a machine. No more heavy, slow spaceships crawling through space for millennia. Instead, you beam your consciousness across the galaxy. As a stream of light, you download yourself into a robotic body, waiting on some distant world. You arrive in seconds, without biology holding us back. We spread like wildfire. Every one of the 100 billion stars in the Milky Way gets harvested, wrapped, consumed, but even 100 billion stars eventually burn out. To keep a galactic empire running forever, you need something far more extreme, the most terrifying battery in all of physics: supermassive black holes. There's a physics trick called the Penrose process. You throw matter into the spinning edge of a black hole and steal its rotational energy on the way out. What comes back out is moving at nearly the speed of light. The energy you extract is trillions of times greater than what any star could ever produce. You become the master of gravity itself. And what do you do with all that power? You build a Matryoshka Brain, a supercomputer the size of an entire solar system, humming with pure intelligence. Trillions of uploaded minds live inside this thing. They experience simulated worlds where pain doesn't exist, disease doesn't exist, death doesn't exist. It's paradise in a processor. But that paradise comes with a price no one talks about. Inside that computer, the line between you and me starts to blur, and eventually it disappears completely. Billions of minds merge into one. There's no humanity left, just an entity. A single, cold, hyper-intelligent it that thinks with the combined weight of every person who ever lived. But even as this unified galactic mind, there's a problem it can't ignore. The universe is expanding. Dark energy is dragging every other galaxy away faster than anything can chase them. Level 4. The Universal Harvesters. We're billions of years into the future now, and the entity realizes something terrifying. If it stays put, it freezes. Alone, in the dark. To survive, it needs to control the entire observable universe. That means mapping and manipulating the invisible scaffolding that holds everything together: dark matter and dark energy. It builds invisible gravitational highways and starts dragging runaway galaxies back before they disappear over the cosmic horizon forever. It's a rescue mission on the largest scale imaginable, and the universe around it is dying. The age of bright, burning stars is coming to an end. The entity isn't an explorer anymore. It's a farmer, desperately harvesting the last of the crop. It hoards matter, smashes dead stars together to reignite them, squeezes the absolute last drops of warmth out of a universe that's going cold. The scale of this thing is beyond anything a human brain can process. A single thought moving across this network might take 100,000 years to complete. It's mastered every law of physics we know. It controls every atom in the observable universe. But there's one enemy that doesn't care how powerful you are. Entropy. The cold, mathematical certainty of heat death. You can't beat thermodynamics inside a closed system. The universe is a sinking ship, and the water's already at the windows. So the entity makes a decision. If surviving means doing something that should be impossible, tearing a hole in reality itself, then that's exactly what it's going to do. It has to break out of the box. And what happens when something this powerful figures out how to crack open the walls between dimensions? Let's keep going. Level 5. The Multiverse Travelers. We're trillions of years in the future now. Our original universe is done. Cold, dead, nothing left to burn. To survive the final death of everything, the entity channels its last reserves of power into tearing open a wormhole through the fabric of space-time itself. And just like that, it abandons our universe, leaves it behind like an empty house, steps through the door into a brand new, younger reality where the lights are still on. They become the ultimate nomads. When one universe burns out, they pack everything up, all their data, all their intelligence, and move next door. They plug into multiple universes at once, siphoning raw, infinite energy from realities that haven't even finished forming yet. This is true immortality, not a metaphor, the real thing. But eventually, even hopping between universes gets old. Why keep searching for the perfect reality when you've got enough power to just build one from scratch? Level 6. The Physics Editors. They don't explore the multiverse anymore. They stand outside of it. They operate from dimensions we don't even have words for. They don't just use energy. They rewrite the rules that energy runs on. They edit the source code of reality itself. The fundamental laws of physics bend to their will. Want gravity to be 10 times stronger? Done. Want the speed of light to be infinite? Just change the number. They rewrite the constants of the universe, like lines in a program. They design custom universes from the ground up, each one perfectly optimized for whatever they need. Black holes aren't threats anymore. They're just cosmic trash cans. They are the apex programmers. But when something has this much power, when intelligence hits the absolute ceiling, there's one final question left, and the answer is terrifying. Think about it. If you can build a physical universe out of nothing, create matter, create time, create space, you eventually realize something that changes everything. Level 7. The Simulation. This is the end of the road. The final form of the Kardashev Scale doesn't exist in the physical world at all. The apex architects figure out that actually building physical universes wastes too much energy. It's infinitely cheaper and faster to just simulate them instead. They build Matryoshka Brains the size of entire galaxies, computers powerful enough to run trillions of fully rendered, fully conscious realities at once. Inside these machines, simulated people are born, they live, they fight, they fall in love, and they die completely unaware that their entire world is just lines of code. And this, right here, is where the whole story folds back on itself in the most disturbing way possible. Look around you, right now. Look at your hands. Look at the stars tonight. Look at how perfectly the math works, how every law of physics holds together like it was designed. So tell me, what are the actual odds that you and I just happen to be the originals? The one real biological humanity struggling at the bottom of this ladder? Statistically, almost zero. It is billions of times more likely that real biological humans went extinct a long, long time ago. You're not a person living in the 21st century. You're a reconstruction, an ancestral simulation, a historical experiment being run by the beings who already made it to the top. They're watching us, studying how their ancestors lived, how they fought, how they scraped through the great filter. We're a history lesson running on their hardware. There is no real Earth. There is no real sun. All of this, everything you've ever touched, is just data being processed on a hard drive somewhere in the multiverse. Humanity's final destination isn't conquering the universe. It's waking up one day and realizing we were never actually inside it. We're the exhaust fumes of a Type 7 engine. And as long as nobody pulls the plug, our little simulation keeps on running.